This week on Supercars Talk, we answer the question if Super 2 is working. During the week, Supercars posted a little interview thing they had with Fabian Coulthard and Mark Winterbottom about who they think should replace Jamie Whincup at Triple Eight. And Fabian came out with the odd statement that Triple Eight should pick someone from Super 2 because too many drivers come from Porsche and we need to prove that Super 2 works. Interesting statement when you look through the field, because currently there is only 4 drivers on the grid that have, say, Carrera Cup experience, while 20 drivers came directly from the Super 2 Championship into the main game. First off, we need to look at why the Super 2 Championship was created in the first place. Originally, it was the V8 Lights series. Basically, it was a place for the main game teams to sell their old cars because there wasn't really a market for the third-hand cars, I suppose, because originally the big teams used to sell to the smaller teams and then they'd offload them to the Super 2 teams back in the day. So I suppose in that respect it has been pretty successful. But it was also, I suppose, designed as a driver training ground, so people could get in there in a bit of a cheaper environment and learn their craft and then, get their experience, move up into the main game. It has been very criticised over the last couple of years about the cost of running the Super 2 Championship as opposed to some of the other categories out there. But as I run through the field of all the drivers from this year, we will see that, it does kind of pay to have Super 2 experience on your resume before coming into the main game. If we run through the field from this year's Supercar Championship, there is 4 drivers who didn't come directly from Super 2 or Porsche Cup. Believe it or not, only 4 didn't come directly. Two of the 4 are the Triple Eight drivers. Funnily enough, the guys leading the championship did not come directly. Whincup was the 2002 Formula Ford Championship directly through to Supercars. And Shane van Gisbergen was second in the New Zealand Toyota Racing Series before he made his Supercars Championship debut. The other 2 were internationals, I suppose. James Courtney, he came 4th in the 2005 Super GT Championship. That was while he was kind of resurrecting his career after that massive F1 testing accident that he had. So you nearly say, James Courtney came from F1 testing. And the other one on the grid is Will Davison, who in 04 he was racing British F3. 05 he did some Super 2 appearances. 06 he was A1 GP, and then making his main game debut. Then we look at the 2 that came directly from Porsche Carrera Cup. Was Nick Percat, who was second in 2013. But that was also a stopgap because he didn't get a main game drive after coming 4th in that massive 2012 Super 2 Championship. So even, you could say he wasn't even a direct from Porsche Cup. It was just, that was where he could get a drive for that year because he didn't get a main game drive. And essentially, what more could he have achieved in spending another year in Super 2? Which leaves us to Fabian Coulthard, who was the 2005 Carrera Cup champion before making his main game debut. So he's the only one who didn't, pretty much come from Super 2. The other 2 with Carrera Cup experience were the Kelly gang. Jaime, he was in Carrera Cup in 2012, but before making his debut, he was in the 2014 Super 2 Championship. He came 4th. And then Reynolds spent 2005 to 2007 in Carrera Cup. but then spent 2008 in Super 2, where he came fourth as well before making his main game debut. Then essentially everyone else has come directly from Super 2. If we run down the field of Super 2 champions, we have Cam Waters, who's the 2015 champion, Bryce Fullwood, the 2019 champion, Mark Winterbottom, the 2003 champion, Todd Hazelwood, the 2017 champion, and Thomas Randall. I'm going to include him as part of the wildcard kind of contingent there, who is the 2020 champion. He hasn't gone on to do Carrera Cup either this year. You could say then he's coming from, S5000 when he makes his main game debut next year. Yeah, he's going to make his main game debut next year pretty much. While we run down the rest of the field, it is quite interesting where some of these drivers ended up in the championship before they actually made the step up. You've got guys like Jack LeBrock, who came third in the championship, but then Jake Kostecki was 16th in the championship the year before he made his step up. Some of the other guys, like Tim Slade, believe it or not, he was only 7th. I believe they were running a very shoestring kind of budget year. Anton was 4th, not really that high in the championship, but once again, that was one of these shoestring kind of budget. It's not like he was out there with an Eggleston's or Matt White Motorsports. Scott Pye was 2nd in the championship. Brody was 8th, while Will Brown was 2nd. That was last year, which was a bit of an odd year for results-wise, because it was such a shortened year, so it's a bit hard. Randall was the champion last year, but it's borderline being a championship, in my opinion. Funnily enough, Macca Jones and Jake Smith, they were 9th and 10th in the relative championships before they made their debut. Zane Goddard was 4th, Gary Jacobson was 3rd, and Kurt Kostecki, as with what seems to be a Kostecki thing, he was only 13th. So on 2 points there, they get to sell, the main game teams get to sell their cars through to the Super 2 Championship. So big tick on that one. And basically the whole field is populated by Super 2 drivers. So big tick on that one. The other thing, it's probably been a little bit criticised because only two guys who've won the Super 2 Championship have gone on to win the main game championship. That would be Frosty in 2003, and then of course Scott McLaughlin in 2012 won the championship and went on to win 3 championships at a tear. If we do look through though, most of the guys have made a pretty good career in supercars after winning the championship. There's a few odd ones in there, like Dean Cantor, who actually won the championship twice. He did make a long career out of being a co-driver, though. Didn't really crack the main game, I suppose. Simon Wills, that was probably, he was tied up in the dynamic kind of problems. Paul Dumbrell, well, yeah. He made a great living out of it. Maybe if he'd gone to Triple Eight, things could have been totally different. Andy Jones, probably a little bit of an issue. Tasman was a bit of lost years, going to his family team, things like that. If he'd got a better shot at a proper team, could have been totally different. Adam Macro was one who just went totally missing along the lines. Tony D'Alberto basically running his own team through there. He's found a great home at DJR Team Penske the last few years as a co-driver, showing the job could be done. Steve Owen, another bit of a, great driver, maybe missed out a little bit on those top drives, did some really good co-driving over the years. John O'Webb, well, he did win Bathurst, he did win, I think it was only one round or one race as a solo driver, but he did, as a co-driver, he did obviously win Bathurst, and I think he took out a couple of Gold Coast races as well over the years there. Andrew Thompson, he just went missing. He was a bit of a weird one because at times he was a rocket ship in the Triple Eight cars, and then other days I don't even know what he's doing these days. Dale Wood, once again, could have probably done a lot better had he been given the opportunities in top teams. Paul Dumbrell won it again, and then Cam Waters, essentially, he could be a future champion. Gary Jacobson, the jury's still out a little bit on Gary. Like on his day, and then other times he seems to go a bit missing. And then we got Todd Hazelwood. Could be, if you put him in Triple Eight machinery, he could do what Jamie Whincup did. Chris Pither, but he's a bit of an odd one because he was in the championship and then he went back to Super 2 and then he became champion and he kind of never really got his shot properly. And then Fullwood and Randall, who I believe are going to be around for a long time in the championship. So if you run through the field, there's, of course there is a couple of names that have gone a bit missing, but in general, if you've won the Super 2 championship, you've made that step up, and you've, even if it is a bit more as a co-driver, you've had a great career in the championship. So once again, I'm going to count this as a tick. I think it is doing the job it's supposed to be doing. So in summary, it appears, I agree, Super 2 is doing the job that they have set out to do. It is developing drivers for the future. We could bring costs down a bit in it, which hopefully with the Gen 3, it will bring it down. We might see an odd situation next year where it actually costs more to run the Super 2 cars than what it does to run the Gen 3 cars. Although there should be a glut of, Gen 2 cars available for the Super 2 teams and heaps of spares and whatever. So that should bring the costs down for them. And then hopefully they make the switch to Gen 3 and the cheaper running costs relatively quickly. Although I hope that they don't have to invest in a lot of equipment and then all of a sudden it's made redundant very quickly. So you've really just got to watch that transition period, I suppose. But I definitely think Super 2 is doing the right thing, and I'm not sure what Fabian Coulthard was on about. Anyway, down in the comments, let me know what you think. Do you agree? It's a bit weird. If you know what Andrew Thompson's doing, can you let me know? Because he one that definitely went missing. And on his day, he was lightning quick. But that's it for me today. I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.